In front of you right now is by far the cheapest 4K QD-OLED monitor on the market, and that's probably not going to be changing anytime soon. I mean, this thing is hundreds and hundreds of dollars cheaper than many of the other competing options. What am I talking about? The MSI MAG321UP. But what do you get for that price? Well, you do get the typical 31.5-inch 4K QD OLED goodness with the infinite contrast ratios, near perfect viewing angles, near instantaneous response times, and an excellent HDR experience, especially in a dark room. But what you're giving up is, instead of it being 240 Hz on most of the other panels, it's dropping it down to 165 Hz. And you might be asking the question, is it worth it to save all that money to pick up this monitor, considering it's coming in at just $769? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Oh yeah, and I do want to mention that this was lent to me by MSI for this review, but that does not mean I'll be going light on it. If I see anything, I'll be sure to tell you. Now, real quickly, in terms of the other specs, I'll put them on screen right now. Do be aware, yes, it does come with a stand that does just about everything you'd want it to do. It gets the typical 100 by 100 millimeter VESA support, and you do get two HDMI 2.1 ports, which is great to see. But yes, definitely the showstopper of this thing is the $769 price point with a 3-year warranty, which includes burn-in support. I mean, that's around $530 less than the Asus 240 Hz, and even $130 less still than MSI's version at $900, which is constantly selling out because people consider that to be by far the best deal, giving you the best value for your money in this market. But is this one better? Let's find out by taking a look at the performance, starting off with the color. And of course, this is QD OLED, so the color is incredible. QD OLED or Quantum.OLED is definitely the best technology on the market today for representing color on your screen, and it's no different here. They just are super punchy and vibrant and leap off the screen. Very, very pleasing stuff to look at, and if you're in the market for an OLED monitor, there's nothing that's going to compete with a monitor like this. But what about the actual accuracy? Is this going to faithfully represent colors? And out of the box, as per usual, not quite so much in SDR, although I was able to greatly fix it and will have the best settings in my Patreon linked in the description below, which is also the best way to support this channel in future reviews. Now, in terms of the actual color checker analysis, as you can see, there are some noticeable deviations, meaning this might not be the absolute best monitor when it comes to SDR content editing, but it's certainly not terrible. Now, in terms of HDR, here's where things aren't quite as good. Unfortunately, it is crushing shadows quite a bit, as you can see on the EOTF curve there for brightness, and it's also a little bit too red, leading to some color inaccuracies in HDR, but it's certainly something that I think most people would be perfectly fine to live with, especially as a gaming monitor. Now, in terms of the color volume, it's QD OLED, and like I mentioned, the colors are incredible. We're talking around 106% DCI-P3, meaning that HDR color is going to be amazing. But what about the brightness? This is by far, in my opinion, the most important metric for an OLED display in 2024, and like every single other QD OLED, it does have very good brightness when it comes to full screen, giving you around 260 nits roughly. But for HDR, it's not super impressive. It's certainly going to be great for a dark room, but brighter scenes with roughly 470 nits, well, that's, yeah, in line with others, but not very impressive, and certainly gets smashed by a TV like the LG G4, which is just running circles around these OLED monitors. But what about in a game? Likewise, it's in line with all the other versions and just simply doesn't have enough punch to give you really impactful HDR, but it is still a very big improvement over an SDR image. But you're probably wondering, okay, that's great. How is it for gaming? And let me tell you, the gaming experience on this monitor is absolutely incredible. Yes, it's not quite as fast and not quite as smooth in motion as the 240Hz options, but most people probably won't be able to actually run the majority of their games at 240Hz. And even at 165Hz, this is an absolutely incredible experience. It's lightning fast, and the motion is certainly nothing to scoff at. In fact, in terms of the total system latency, as you can see here, it's definitely good and in line with other options on the market. And the motion performance you can see here at 165Hz is clear enough to certainly be using in online competitive games, as it's absolutely smashing the 144Hz mini LED all the way on the right. But to be fair, 480Hz OLED is even more impressive. And surprisingly, even at its low price, it does come with a couple of great features such as 15-watt Type-C power delivery, and most importantly, a display stream compression on-off switch, which means if you're okay putting up with a slightly lower frame rate, you can get rid of the long Alt-Tab times that NVIDIA cards have when using display stream compression, as well as some other issues. Now, in terms of the text clarity, you might be wondering, is this good? And I will say at 4K, QD-OLED certainly has less noticeable problems and is a lot more clear than 1440p, but because of the triangle arrangement of the subpixels, it's just not going to be quite as clear as LCD, so I'd say good but not great. And speaking of clarity, well, this thing is actually coming with a glossy finish, which means that yes, the overall clarity that you're going to perceive is going to be absolutely incredible and absolutely destroy whatever LCD, mini LED, or even WOLED monitor that you might be used to, as those typically come with a matte finish, which adds a lot of grain and perceived oil to the screen that simply is not present here, leading to a far, far better picture. Although QD-OLED specifically does come with the problem of a magenta or gray tint if you don't have it in a light-controlled room. So if you want the best contrast out of this, I highly suggest closing your windows and turning off the lights. Now, as always, yes, I did run into one issue with this monitor. There's typically issues with every monitor. In this one, I can't say for sure if it's the monitor's fault or if it's my computer's fault at the time. I'll have to investigate this with other MSI monitors going forward. But I did notice that if I Alt-tabbed in and out of an application very quickly over and over, it would actually crash, and I just haven't noticed this on other monitors. So I'll definitely inform MSI of that, and if it is an issue, I'm certain they'll also be fixing that in a future firmware update, just like any other issues that you may or may not come across on any of their monitors, as they've been very good at addressing any issues. And overall, I gotta say, yeah, there really weren't a whole lot of issues. The menu and firmware was a great experience. It was just flying by, and even when it comes to G-Sync or VRR flicker, well, this is probably one of the least severe examples that I've seen when I gave it a test. So overall, is this monitor perfect? Definitely not. I think it's more geared towards gamers, as it does have some slight color inaccuracies that I think for someone like me would make me lean towards a monitor that allows me to dial in the white balance and all that stuff a little bit more correctly. But for a gamer, I'm gonna tell you guys this, for the love of God, buy this monitor. I sat down and did the calculations, and this is actually a better deal dollar for dollar than the 240Hz version at $900, which is considered by many to be the best OLED deal on the market today. So no, this is probably actually the best OLED deal on the market today. Again, dollar for dollar. And if you're interested in this monitor, I'll have an affiliate link in the description below. I do get a kickback if you use any of my affiliate links, but even if I didn't have one, I would tell you absolutely go out and buy this. At $769, there is nothing on the market that comes anywhere close to competing with this. This basically destroys the vast majority of mini LED monitors. It honestly is going to wipe out a lot of OLEDs for people as well. This is like my go-to recommendation for a gaming monitor in 2024 so far, as the value is absolutely insane. Whether you're looking to connect a new console, gaming PC, or just need a fast and reliable HDMI cable to connect over long distances, Rupro has you covered with their certified 8K HDMI 2.1 fiber optic cable, available in sizes of up to 50 feet and can deliver a perfect full 48 gigabits per second connection over distances other cables could only dream of reaching. And with 48 gigabits per second of bandwidth, it can easily drive 8K 60 FPS or 4K 144 FPS 10-bit HDR video through its ultra-thin, flexible, and durable durable housing, and it even supports ER. So if you're in the market for a cable that can drive a beautiful new TV or monitor, be sure to check out RooPro on Amazon today.